We've drunk the soup, and eaten the fish and chips, and the English salad. The children have drunk English water. We've dined well this evening. That's because we live in the suburbs of London, and because our name is Heath. Potatoes are very good fried in fat. The salad oil was not rancid. The oil from the grocer at the corner is better quality than the oil from the grocer across the street. It is even better quality than the oil from the grocer at the bottom of the street. However, I prefer not to tell them that their oil is bad. However, the oil from the grocer at the corner is still the best. Mary did the potatoes very well this evening. The last time she did not do them well. I do not like them when they are well done. Fish was fresh. It made my mouth water. I had 2 helpings. No, 3 helpings. That made me go to the WC. You also had 3 helpings. However, the 3rd time you took a great deal less than the first 2 times, whereas for me I took a great deal more. I ate better than you this evening. Why is that? Usually it is you who eats more. It is not appetite you lack. Still, the soup was perhaps a little too salt. It was saltier than you. Ha! It also had too many leeks and not enough onions. I regret that I didn't advise Mary to add some aniseed stars. The next time I'll know better. Our little boy wanted to drink some beer. He's going to love getting tiddly. He's like you. At table, did you see how he stared at the bottle? But I poured some water from the jug into his glass. He was thirsty and he drank it. Helen is like me. She's a good manager, thrifty, plays the piano. She never asks to drink English beer. She's like our little daughter who drinks only milk and eats only porridge. It's obvious that she's only 2. Her name's Peggy. The quince and bean pie was marvelous. It would have been nice, perhaps, to have had a small glass of Australian Burgundy with the sweet, but I did not bring the bottle to the table because I did not want to set the children a bad example of gluttony. They must learn to be sober and temperate. Mrs. Parker knows a Romanian grocer by the name of Popsicle Rosenfeld, who has just come from Constantinople. He's a great specialist in yogurt. He has a diploma from the School of Yogurt Making in Adrianople. Tomorrow, I shall buy a large pot of native Romanian yogurt from him. One does not often find such things here in the suburbs of London. Yogurt is excellent for the stomach, the kidneys, the appendicitis, and apotheosis. It was Dr. Mackenzie King told me that. He's the one who takes care of the children of our neighbors, the Johns. He's a good doctor. One can trust him. He never prescribes any medicine that he has not tried out on himself first. For example, when he operated on Parker, he had his own liver operated on first, although he was not in the least bit ill.
How does it happen that the doctor pulled through while Parker died?
Because the operation was successful in the doctor's case and it was not in Parker's.
Well, the Mackenzie is not a good doctor. The operation should have succeeded with both of them, or else both should have died.
Why?
A conscientious doctor must die with his patient if they can't get well together. The captain of a ship goes down with his ship into the briny deep. He does not survive alone.
One cannot compare a patient to a ship.
Why not? Your ship has its diseases too. Moreover, your doctor is as hale as a ship. That's why he should have perished at the same time as his patient, like the captain and his ship.
Ah! I hadn't thought of that. And then what conclusion do you draw from this?
All doctors are quacks, and all patients too. Only the Royal Navy is honest in England.
But not sailors.
Naturally. There's something I don't understand. In the newspaper, they always give the age of deceased persons, but never the age of the newly born. That doesn't make sense.
I never thought of that.
Says here that Bobby Watson died.
Good God, the poor man! When did he die?
Why, you pretend to be astonished? You know very well he's been dead these past 2 years. Shelley, remember we attended his funeral a year and a half ago.
Oh, yes, of course, I do remember. I remembered it right away. But what I don't understand is why you yourself were so surprised to see it in the paper.
It wasn't in the paper. It's been 3 years since his death was announced. I remembered it through an association.
What a pity! He was so well preserved.
He was the handsomest corpse in Great Britain. He didn't look his age. Poor Bobby. He was dead for 4 years and he was still warm. A veritable living corpse. And how cheerful he was.
Poor Bobby.
Which poor Bobby do you mean?
It is his wife that I mean. She is called Bobby too, Bobby Watson. Since they both had the same name, you could never tell one from the other when you saw them together. It was only after his death that you could really tell which was which. And even today, there are still people who confuse her with the deceased and offer their condolences to him. Do you know her?
I only met her once, by chance, at Bobby's burial.
I've never seen her. Is she pretty?
She has regular features, yet one cannot say that she is pretty. She is too big and stout. Her features are not regular, but still one could say that she is very pretty. She's a little too small and too thin. She's a voice teacher.
And when do they plan to be married, those two?
Next spring, at the latest.
We shall have to go to their wedding, I suppose.
We shall have to give them a wedding present. I wonder what.
What about one of the 7 silver salvers which were given out for our wedding and which have never been the slightest use to us? How sad for her to have been left a widow so young.
Fortunately, they had no children.
Oh, that was all they needed, children. Huh? Poor woman, how could she have managed?
She's still young. She might very well remarry. She looks so well in mourning.
But who would take care of the children? You know very well they have a boy and a girl. What are their names?
Bobby and Bobby, like their parents. Bobby Watson's uncle, old Bobby Watson, is a rich man and very fond of the boy. He might very well pay for the boy's education.
That would be proper. And old Bobby Watson, Bobby Watson's aunt, might very well in her turn pay for the education of Bobby Watson, Bobby Watson's daughter. That way Bobby Watson's mother, could remarry. Has she anyone in mind?
Yes, a cousin of Bobby Watson's.
Who? Bobby Watson?
Which Bobby Watson do you mean?
Bobby Watson, the son of old Bobby Watson. The late Bobby Watson's other uncle.
No, it's not that one, it's someone else. It's Bobby Watson, the son of old Bobby Watson, the late Bobby Watson's aunt.
Are you referring to Bobby Watson, the commercial traveller?
All the Bobby Watsons are commercial travellers.
A difficult trade. However, they do well at it.
Yes, when there's no competition.
And when is there no competition?
On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays.
3 days a week. And what does Bobby Watson do on those 3 days?
He rests. He sleeps.
But why doesn't he work on those 3 days if there's no competition?
I don't know everything. I can't answer all your idiotic questions.
Oh! Are you trying to humiliate me?
You know very well that I'm not.
You men are all alike. You sit there all day long, a cigarette in your mouth. Or else you powder your nose and rouge your lips 50 times a day. Or else you drink like a fish.
What would you say to some men acting like women do? Smoking all day long, powdering, rouging their lips, drinking whiskey?
It's nothing to me! But if you're only saying that to annoy me, I don't care for that kind of joking! You know that very well!
Oh. My little ducky daddles. What a little spitfire you are. You know I only said it as a joke. What a ridiculous pair of old lovers we are. Come, let's put out the lights and go bye-byes.
I'm the maid. We spent a very lovely, pleasant afternoon. Went to the cinema. The man saw a film with a woman. After the cinema, we went and drank some brandy and milk and read the newspaper.
And I hope you spent a pleasant afternoon. That you went to the cinema with a man. And that you drank some brandy and milk.
And the newspaper.
Mr. and Mrs. Martin, your guests are here. They were waiting outside for me. They daren't come in without me. You were supposed to have dinner with them this evening.
Oh, yes. We were expecting them. And we were hungry. When they failed to put in an appearance, we were going to go ahead and have dinner without them. We've had nothing to eat all day. You should not have gone out.
But it was you that gave me permission.
We didn't do it on purpose.
I bought me a chamber pot.
My dear Mary, please open the door and ask Mr. and Mrs. Martin to step inside. We shall go and change quickly.
Why have you come so late? It is not very polite. People should be punctual. Do you understand? Well then, sit down. There! Now that you've come and wait.
Excuse me, madam, but it seems to me, unless I am mistaken, that I've met you somewhere before.
I do, sir. It seems to me that I've met you somewhere before.
Was it by any chance in Manchester that I first caught a glimpse of you, madam?
Well, that is very possible. I'm originally from the city of Manchester. But I do not have a good memory, sir. I cannot say whether it was there that I caught a glimpse of you or not.
Good! God, how curious! I too, madam, am from the city of Manchester.
That is curious.
Isn't that curious? Only madam, I left the city of Manchester about 5 weeks ago.
That is curious. How very bizarre. I too, sir. I left the city of Manchester about 5 weeks ago.
Madam, I took the 8:30 morning train, which arrives in London at 4:45.
Well, that is curious. How very bizarre and what a coincidence. I took the same train, sir. I too.
Good Lord! How curious! Perhaps then, madam, it was on the train that I first saw you?
But it is indeed possible. That is not unlikely. Well, it is plausible, and after all, why not? But, I don't recall it, sir.
I traveled second class. There is no second class in England. But I always travel second class.
Well, that is curious. How very bizarre. And what a coincidence. I too, sir. I travelled second class.
How curious that is. Perhaps we met in second class, my dear lady.
Well, that is very possible. And it is not at all unlikely. But I do not remember very well, my dear sir.
My seat was in coach number 8, compartment 6, my dear lady.
How curious that is! My seat was also in coach number 8, compartment 6, my dear sir.
How curious that is, and what a bizarre coincidence. Perhaps we met in compartment 6, my dear lady.
It is indeed possible, after all. But I do not recall it, dear sir.
To tell the truth, my dear lady, I do not remember it either. But it is possible that we caught a glimpse of each other there, and as I think of it, it seems to me even very likely.
Oh, truly. Of course. Truly, sir.
How curious it is. I had seat number 3, next to the window, my dear lady.
Oh, good Lord! How curious and bizarre! I had seat number 6 next to the window, across from you, dear sir.
Good God, how curious! We were then seated facing each other, my dear lady. Perhaps it was there that we have met.
How curious it is. It is possible, but I do not recall it, sir.
To tell the truth, my dear lady, I do not remember it either. However, it is possible that we saw each other on that occasion.
It is true, but I'm not at all sure of it, sir.
Dear madam, were you not the lady who asked me to place her suitcase in the luggage rack and then who thanked me and gave me permission to smoke?
But of course it must have been I, sir. How curious it is. How curious it is.
How
What a coincidence.
furious it is! And what a coincidence! And well, perhaps it was there that we came to know one another, my dear lady.
How curious it is, and what a coincidence. For it is indeed possible, my dear sir. However, I do not believe that I recall it.
Nor do I, madam. London, I have resided on Bromfield Street, my dear lady.
How curious that is. How bizarre. I, too, since coming to London, I have resided in Bromfield Street, my dear sir.
How curious that is. Perhaps we have seen each other on Bromfield Street, my dear lady.
Oh, how curious it is. How bizarre. But it's indeed possible, after all. But I do not recall it, dear sir.
I reside at number 19, my dear lady.
How curious that is! Well, I also reside at number 19, my dear sir.
How curious that is. Well then, well then, well then, well then. Perhaps we have seen each other in that house, my dear lady.
It is indeed possible. But I do not recall it, dear sir.
My flat is on the 5th floor, number 8, my dear lady.
How curious that is! Good Lord, how bizarre! And what a coincidence! I too reside on the 5th floor in flat number 8, dear sir.
How curious it is, how curious it is, how curious it is. And what a coincidence. In my bedroom, there is a bed covered with a green eiderdown. That room, with the bed and the green eiderdown, is at the end of a corridor between the WC and a bookcase, my dear lady.
Oh, what a coincidence. Good Lord, what a coincidence. My bedroom too has a bed with a green eiderdown and is at the end of the corridor between the WC, dear sir, and the bookcase.
How bizarre. Curious. Strange. Then, madam, we live in the same room, and we sleep in the same bed.
Oh.
It is perhaps there that we have met.
How curious it is. What a coincidence. It is indeed possible that we have met there. And perhaps even last night. But I do not recall it, dear sir.
I have a little girl, a daughter, dear lady. She lives with me. She's 2 years old, blonde, has a white eye and a red eye. She is very pretty. Her name is Alice, dear lady.
What a bizarre coincidence! I too have a little girl. She is 2 years old, has a white eye and a red eye. She's very pretty. And her name is Alice too, dear sir.
How curious that is. And what a coincidence. Bizarre. Perhaps they are the same, dear lady.
How curious it is. It is indeed possible, dear sir.
Then, madam, I believe that there can be no doubt about it. I have seen you before, and you are my own wife. Elizabeth, I have found you again.
Donald, it's you, darling.
Donald and Elizabeth are now too happy to hear me, so I can let you in on a secret. Donald is not Donald. Elizabeth is not Elizabeth. Here is the proof. The child which Donald spoke of is not Elizabeth's daughter. They're not the same person. The child that Donald spoke of has one red eye and one white eye, as does Elizabeth's, whereas Donald's daughter has one white right eye and one left red eye. Elizabeth's daughter has one white left eye and one right red eye. Therefore, all of Donald's system of deduction collapse when they meet with this last obstacle, destroying his theories completely. Despite the coincidences, Donald and Elizabeth, not being the parents of the same child, are not Donald and Elizabeth. He believes in vain that he is Donald. She believes in vain that she is Elizabeth. He believes in vain that she is Elizabeth. She believes in vain that he is Donald. They are sadly deceived. But who is the true Donald? Who is the true Elizabeth? Who has any interest in prolonging this confusion any further? I don't know. Let's not try to know. Let's leave things as they are. My real name is Sherlock Holmes.
Darling, let's forget all that has not passed between us. And now that we have found each other again, let's try not to lose each other anymore and live as before.
Yes, darling.
Good evening, dear friends. Please forgive us for having made you wait so long. We thought we should extend you the courtesy to which you are entitled, and when we learned that you had been kind enough to give us the pleasure of coming to see us without prior notice, we hurried to change for the occasion.
We've had nothing to eat all day. And we've been waiting 4 whole hours for you. Why have you come so late?
Oh, but definitely.
We all have colds.
Nevertheless, it's not chilly.
There's no no draft.
Oh, no. Fortunately.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Don't you feel well?
No. He's wet his pants.
So at your age, you shouldn't.
The heart is ageless.
That's right.
So they say.
They also say the opposite.
The truth lies somewhere between the two.
That's right.
Since you travel so much, you must have many interesting things to tell us.
My dear, tell us what you have seen today.
Oh, it's scarcely worth the trouble, for no one would believe me.
We're not going to question your sincerity.
You will offend us if you think that.
You will offend them, my dear, if you think that...
Oh, well, today I witnessed something extraordinary. Something really incredible.
Tell us quickly, my dear.
Oh, this is going to be amusing.
At last.
Well, today when I went shopping to buy some vegetables, which are getting to be dearer and dearer.
Where is it all going to end?
You shouldn't interrupt, my dear. It's very rude.
In the street, near a cafe, I saw a man, probably dressed about 50 years old, or not even that, who...
Who? What?
Who? What?
Don't interrupt, my dear. You're disgusting.
My dear, it was you who interrupted first, you boor.
Hush. What was this man doing?
Well, I'm sure you're going to say that I'm making it up, but he was down on one knee, and he was bent over.
Oh!
Yes, bent over.
Oh, not possible.
Yes. Bent over. I went near to him to see what he was doing.
And?
He was tying his shoelace, which had
Fantastic! If someone else had told me this, I'd not believe it.
What? Oh, one sees things even more extraordinary when one walks around. Why, just today in the underground, I saw a man sitting on a seat reading a newspaper.
What a character!
Perhaps it's the same man. Goodness! Someone is ringing.
There must be somebody there. I'll go and see. Nobody.
Oh.
I'm going to give you another example.
Goodness! Someone is ringing.
There must be somebody there. I'll go and see. No one.
You were saying you were going to give us another example.
Oh, yes.
Goodness! Someone is ringing.
going to answer the door again?
Yes, but there must be someone there.
The first time there was no one. The second time, no one. Why do you think there's going to be someone there now?
Because someone has rung.
That's no reason.
What? When one hears the doorbell ring, it means someone has rung in order to have the door opened.
Not always. You've just seen otherwise.
In most cases, yes.
As for me, when I go to visit someone, I ring in order to be admitted. I think that everyone does the same thing each time there is a ring. There must be someone there.
That is true in theory. In reality, things happen differently. You have just seen otherwise.
Your wife is right.
Oh, you women. You always stand up for each other.
Well, I'll go and see. You can't say that I'm obstinate. But you will soon see that there is no one there. You see, there's no one there. Oh, these men who always think they're right and who are always wrong.
Goodness! Someone is ringing. There must be someone there.
You've seen that it is useless. Experience teaches us that when one hears the doorbell ring, it is because there's never anyone there.
Never!
That's not entirely accurate.
In fact, it's false. When one hears the doorbell ring, it's because there is someone there.
He won't admit he's wrong.
My husband is very obstinate too.
There's someone there.
That's not impossible. No.
Yes.
I tell you, no! In any case, you are not going to disturb me again for nothing. If you wish to see if there's someone there, you can go and look yourself.
I'll go. Oh! How do you do? It's the fire chief.
Ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Mrs. Smith. You appear to be angry?
You see, it's because my wife is a little chagrined at having been proved wrong.
There's been an argument between Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. Fire Chief.
This is no business of yours. I would thank you not to involve outsiders in our family arguments.
Oh, my dear, this is not so serious. The fire chief is an old friend of the family. His mother courted me, and I knew his father. He made me promise him my daughter in marriage if ever I had one. And he died waiting.
That's neither his fault nor yours.
Well, what is it all about?
My husband was claiming.
Not was you who was claiming.
Yes, it was she.
No, it was he.
Don't get excited.
You tell me, Mrs. Smith.
Well, this is how it was. It is difficult for me to speak openly to you. But a fireman is also a confessor.
Well then.
We were arguing because my husband was saying that each time the doorbell rings, it is because there is always someone there.
It is plausible.
And I was saying that each time the doorbell rings, it is because there is never anyone there.
It might seem strange.
But it has been proven, not by theoretical demonstrations, but by facts.
Well, that's false since the fire chief is here. He rang the bell, I opened the door, and there he was.
When?
But just now.
It was only after the fourth time that you heard the doorbell ring that there was someone there. And the fourth time does not count.
Never. It is only the first
Fire Chief, permit me in my turn to ask you several questions.
Go right ahead.
When I opened the door and saw you, it was really you who had rung the bell?
Yes, it was I.
You were at the door and you rang in order to have the door opened.
I do not deny it.
You see? I was right. You hear the doorbell ring, that means that someone rang it. You certainly cannot say that the Fire Chief is not someone.
Certainly not. I repeat that I was only speaking of the first 3 times, since the 4th time does not count.
And when the doorbell rang the first time, was it you?
No, it was not I.
You see, the doorbell rang and there was no one there.
Perhaps it was someone else.
Were you standing at the door for a long time?
3/4 of an hour.
And you saw no one?
No one. I am sure of that.
But, and did you hear the bell when it rang the second time?
Yes, and that wasn't I either. And there was still no one there.
Victory! I was right.
Not so fast. And what were you doing at the door?
Nothing. I was just standing there. I was thinking of many things.
But the 3rd time, it was not you who rang.
Oh, yes, that was I.
But when the door was opened, nobody was in sight.
That is because I had hidden myself.
Sure.
Don't make jokes, Mr. Fire Chief. This business is too sad.
In short, we still do not know whether, when the doorbell rings, there is someone there or not.
Never anyone.
Always someone.
I'm going to reconcile you. You both are partly right. When the doorbell rings, sometimes there is someone. Other times, there is no one.
Seems logical to me.
I think so too.
Life is very simple, really. Go on and kiss each other.
We just kissed each other a little while ago.
They'll kiss each other tomorrow. They have plenty of time.
Mr. Fire Chief, since you have helped us to settle this, please make yourself comfortable. Take off your helmet and sit down for a while.
Excuse me, I can't stay long. I should like to remove my helmet, but I haven't time to sit down. I must admit that I've come to see you for another reason. I'm on official business.
Him? And what can we do for you, Mr. Fire Chief?
I must beg you to excuse my indiscretion. You don't mind in front of them?
Say whatever you like.
We're old friends. They tell us everything.
Speak! Ah, well. Is there a fire here?
Why do you ask us that?
Oh, it's because, pardon me, I have orders to extinguish all the fires in the city.
All?
Yes, all.
I don't know. I don't think so. Do you want me to go and look?
There can't be one here. There's no smell of anything burning.
None at all? You don't have a little fire in the chimney? Something burning in the attic or the cellar? A little fire, just starting at least?
I'm afraid we don't have anything at the moment. I promise you I will notify you when we do have something.
Oh, please don't forget. It would be a great help.
That's a promise.
And there's nothing burning at your house either.
No, unfortunately.
Things aren't going
going so well just now?
Very poorly. It's been almost nothing. A few trifles, chimney, barn, nothing important. It doesn't bring in much. Since there are no returns, the profits on output are very meager.
Times are bad. It's true all over. It's the same this year with business and agriculture as it is with fires. Nothing is prospering.
No wheat, no fires.
No floods either.
But there is some sugar.
That's because it is imported.
It's harder in the case of fires. The tariffs are too high.
Not all the same. There's the occasional asphyxiation where I buy gas. But that's unusual too. For instance, just last week, a young woman asphyxiated herself. She had left the gas on.
Had she forgotten it?
Oh, no. But she thought it was her comb.
These confusions are always dangerous.
Have you been to see the match dealer?
There's nothing doing there. He is insured against fires.
Why don't you go see the Vicar of Wakefield and use my name?
Well, I don't have the right to extinguish clergymen's fires. The bishop would get angry. Besides, they extinguish their fires themselves, or else they have them put out by Vestal virgins.
Go see the Durand.
I can't do that either. He's not English. He's only been naturalized. And naturalized citizens have the right to have houses, but not the right to have them put out if they're burning.
Nevertheless, when they set fire to it last year, it was put out all the same.
He did that all by himself, clandestinely. But it's not I who would report it.
Neither would I.
Mr. Fire Chief, since you have helped us to settle this, please stay a little while longer. You would be doing us all a great favor.
Shall I tell you some stories?
Oh, yes, please! How charming of you! Mwah.
Yes! Yes! Some stories! Hurrah! And what is even more interesting is that firemen's stories are all true, and they're based on experience.
I speak from my own experience. Truth. Nothing but the truth. No fiction.
That's right. Truth is never found in books, only in life.
Begin!
Begin!
Be quiet, he is beginning.
Pardon me, but don't look at me that way. You embarrass me. You know that I'm shy.
Oh, isn't it charming?
I'm going to try to begin anyhow, but promise me that you won't listen.
But if we don't listen to you, we won't hear you.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I told you he's just a boy.
Oh! The sweet child!
Gina!
Well then. The cow and the dog. An experimental fable. Once upon a time, another cow said to another dog, "Why have you not swallowed your trunk?" "Pardon me," replied the dog. "It is because I thought that I was an elephant."
What is the moral?
That's for you to find out.
He's right.
Tell us another.
The young cow had eaten too much ground glass. As a result, it was obliged to give birth. It brought forth a cow into the world. However, since the calf was male, the cow could not call him Mama, nor could she call him Papa, because the calf was too little. The calf was then obliged to get married, and the registry office carried out all the details completely a la mode.
A la mode de can.
That's right.
Well, you've heard that one.
It was in all the papers.
It happens not far from our house.
I'll tell you another. The cock. Well, once there was a cock who wished to play the dog, but he had no luck because everyone recognized him right away.
On the other hand, the dog who wished to play the cock was never recognized.
I'll tell you one. The snake and the fox. Once upon a time, A snake came up to a fox and said, "It seems to me I know you." The fox replied, "Me too." "Then," said the snake, "give me some money." "A fox doesn't give money," replied the tricky animal, who, in order to escape, jumped down into a deep ravine full of strawberries and chicken honey. But the snake was there waiting for him with a Mephistophelian laugh. The fox pulled out his knife, shouting, "I'm going to teach you how to live." And then he took to flight, turning his back. But he had no luck. The snake was quicker. With a well-chosen blow of his fist, he struck the fox in the middle of his forehead, which burst into 1,000 pieces, while he cried, "No! No! 4 times no! I'm not your daughter!"
Interesting.
It's not bad.
My congratulations.
Not so good. And anyway, I've heard it before.
It's terrible.
But it wasn't even true.
Yes, unfortunately.
It's your turn, my dear.
Oh, I only know one. I'm going to tell it to you. It's called The Bouquet.
My wife has always been romantic.
She's a true English woman.
Here it is. Once upon a time, there was a fiancé who gave a bouquet of flowers to his fiancée. And she said, "Thanks." But before she said thanks, he, without saying another word, took back the flowers he had given her in order to teach her a good lesson. And he said, "I take them back." He said, "Goodbye." And he took them back, and he went off in all directions.
Oh, charming.
You have a wife, Mr. Smith, of whom all the world is jealous.
It's true. My wife is intelligence personified. She's even more intelligent than I. In any case, she's much more feminine. Everyone says so.
Let's have another one, Mr. Fire Chief.
Oh, no, it's too late.
Tell us one anyway.
I'm too tired.
Do us a favor.
I beg you.
No.
You have a heart of ice. We're sitting on hot coals.
I implore you.
Righto.
He agrees. He's going to bore us again.
No, I'm too polite.
The head code. My brother-in-law had, on the paternal side, a first cousin, whose maternal uncle had a father-in-law whose paternal grandfather married as his second wife a young native whose brother he had met on one of his travels, a girl of whom he was enamored, and by whom he had a son who married an intrepid lady pharmacist who was none other than the niece of an unknown 4th-class petty officer of the Royal Navy, and whose adopted father had an aunt who spoke Spanish fluently, and who was perhaps one of the granddaughters of an engineer who died young, himself the grandson of the owner of a vineyard which produced mediocre wine, but who had a second cousin, a stay-at-home, a sergeant major, whose son had married a very pretty young woman, a divorcee whose first husband was the son of a loyal patriot, who, in the hopes of making his fortune, had managed to bring up one of his daughters so that she could marry a footman who had known Rothschild, and whose brother, after having changed his trade several times, married and had a daughter, whose stunted great-grandfather wore spectacles which had been given him by a cousin of his, the brother-in-law of a man from Portugal, natural son of a miller, not too badly off, whose foster brother married the daughter of a former country doctor, who was himself the foster brother of the son of a forester, himself the natural son of another former country doctor married 3 times in a row, whose third wife was...
I knew that third wife, if I'm not mistaken. She ate chicken sitting on a hornet's nest.
It's
It's not the same one.
Shut.
As I was saying. Whose third wife was the daughter of the best midwife in the region, and who early left a widow.
Oh, like my wife.
Had married a glazier who was full of life, and had had, by the daughter of a station master, a child who had burned his bridges.
His bridges?
No, his bridge game.
And had married an oyster woman whose father had a brother, mayor of a small town, who had taken as his wife a blonde schoolteacher, whose cousin, a fly fisherman,
A fly-by-night?
had married another blonde schoolteacher named Marie, too, whose brother was married to another Marie, also a blonde schoolteacher,
Since she's blonde, she must be Marie.
and whose father had been raised in Canada by an old woman who was the niece of a priest, whose grandmother, occasionally in the winter, sometimes caught a cold.
It's a curious story. Almost unbelievable.
If you catch a cold, you better get yourself a colt.
Ooh, a useless precaution, but absolutely necessary.
Excuse me, Mr. Fire Chief, but I did not follow your story very well. At the end, when we got to the grandmother of the priest, I got mixed up.
One always gets mixed up in the hands of a priest.
Yes, Mr. Fire Chief, please, begin again. Everyone wants to hear.
I don't know whether I'll be able to. I am on official business. Depends on the time.
We don't have the time here.
But the clock.
It runs badly. It's contradictory and always indicates the opposite of what the hour really is.
Madam, sir,
What do you want?
What have you come in here for?
I hope madam and sir will excuse me, and these ladies and gentlemen too. But I would like to tell you a story myself.
What is she saying?
I believe our friend's maid is going crazy. She wants to tell us a story too.
Who does she think she is? Oh,
Why are you butting in?
This is most uncalled for, Mary.
oh, but it is she. Incredible.
And you?
Incredible here!
What does all this mean?
You know each other?
And how?
It's good to see you at last!
This is too much here, in our home, in the suburbs of London.
It's not proper!
It was she who extinguished my first fires.
I'm his little fire hose.
If that's the case, dear friends, these emotions are understandable, honorable, human.
All that is human is honorable.
Well, even so, I don't like to see it here among us.
She's not been properly brought up.
Oh, you have too many prejudices.
But what I think is that a maid, after all, even though it's none of my business, is never anything but a maid.
Even if she can sometimes be a rather good detective.
Let me guess.
Oh, don't be upset. They're not that bad, really.
Yes, you two are very touching. But at the same time, a little...
Yes, that's exactly the word.
a little too exhibitionistic.
There's a native British modesty. Forgive me for attempting yet again to define my thought. Not understood by foreigners, even by specialists. Thanks to which, if I may thus express myself.
Of course, I don't mean to refer to you.
I was going to tell you.
Don't tell us anything.
Oh, yes.
Go, my little Mary. Go quietly to the kitchen and read your poems before the mirror.
You know, even though I'm not a maid, I also read poems before the mirror.
But this morning when you looked into the mirror, you didn't even see yourself.
That's because I wasn't there yet.
I can perhaps recite a poem.
My little Mary, you are being frightfully obstinate.
All right, then it's agreed. I will say a poem. It's called The Fire.
Oh.
In honor of the fire chief. The fire. The polypods were burning in the woods.
Oh.
A stone caught fire. The castle caught fire. The men caught fire. The women caught fire. The birds caught fire. The fish caught fire. The water caught fire. The sky caught fire. The ash caught fire. The smoke caught fire. The fire caught fire. Everything caught fire. Caught fire. Caught fire. That sent chills up my spine.
Yet there's a certain warmth in those lines.
I thought it was marvelous.
All the same!
You're exaggerating.
Just a moment. I realize all of this is very subjective. But this is my conception of the world, my dream, my ideal. And now this reminds me that I must leave. Since you don't have the time here, I must tell you that in exactly 3/4 of an hour and 16 minutes, I'm having a fire at the other end of the city. Consequently, I must hurry, even though it will be quite unimportant.
What will it be? A little chimney fire?
Oh, not even that. A straw fire and a little heartburn.
Well, sorry to see you go.
You've been very entertaining.
Thanks to you, we've passed a truly Cartesian quarter of an hour.
Speaking of that, the Bald Soprano.
She always wears her hair in the same style.
Ah, then goodbye, ladies, gentlemen.
Good luck and good fire.
Let's hope so. For everyone.
I can buy a pocket knife for my brother, but you can't buy Ireland for your grandfather.
One walks on his feet, but one heats with electricity or coal.
He who sells an ox today will have an egg tomorrow.
In real life, one must look out of the window.
One can sit down on a chair when the chair doesn't have any.
But one must always think of everything.
The ceiling is above, the floor is below.
When I say yes, it's only a manner of speaking.
To each his own.
Take a circle, caress it, and it will turn vicious.
The schoolmaster teaches his pupils to read, but the cat suckles her young while they are small.
Nevertheless, it was the cow that gave us tails.
When I'm in the country, I enjoy the solitude and the quiet.
You're not old enough yet for that.
Benjamin Franklin was right. You are more nervous than he.
What are the 7 days of the week?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Edward was a clerk, his sister Nancy a typist, and his cousin William a shop assistant.
An odd family.
I prefer a bird in the bush to a sparrow in a barrel.
Rather steak in a chalet than gristle in a castle.
An Englishman's home is truly his castle.
I don't know enough Spanish to make myself understood.
I'll give you my mother-in-law's slippers if you give me your husband's coffin.
I'm looking for a monophysite priest to marry to our maid.
Bread is a staff, whereas bread is also a staff, and an oak springs from an oak every morning at dawn.
My uncle lives in the country, but that's none of the midwife's business.
Paper is for writing, the cat's for the rat, cheese is for scratching.
Car goes very fast, but the cook beats better.
Don't feed turkeys, rather kiss the conspirator.
Charity begins at home.
I'm waiting for the aqueduct to come see me at my windmill.
One can prove that social progress is definitely better with sugar.
To hell with polishing!
One does not polish spectacles using black wax.
Yes. But with money one can buy anything.
I'd rather kill a rabbit than sing in the garden.
Cockatoos. 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 Cockatoos.
Such caca. 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 Such caca.
Such cascades of caca. Such cascades of caca. Such cascades of caca. Such cascades of caca. Such cascades of caca. Such cascades of caca. Such cascades of caca. Such cascades of caca.
Dogs have fleas. Dogs have fleas.
Cactus, coccyx, crocus, cockaded, cockroach.
In Casca, you in Cascas.
I'd rather lay an egg in a box than steal an ox.
Ah! Oh! Ah! Oh! Let me gnash my teeth!
Crocodile.
Let's go slap Ulysses.
I'm going to live in my cabana among my cacao trees.
Cacao trees on cacao farms don't bear coconuts, they yield cocoa. Cacao trees on cacao farms don't bear coconuts, they yield cocoa. Cacao trees on cacao farms don't bear coconuts, they yield cocoa.
Mice have lice. Lice haven't mice.
Don't rouge my brooch!
Don't smooch the brooch.
Groom the goose, don't goose the groom.
The goose grooms!
Groom your tooth.
Groom the bridegroom, groom the bridegroom.
Seduce, seduced.
Scaramouche!
Santa douche.
Go take a douche.
I've been goosed.
Senator stoops to my cartouche.
Who stoops to blame? And I never choose to stoop.
Robert.
Browning.
Rudyard
Kipling.
Robert Kipling.
Rudyard Browning.
Genre.
Bizarre. Bozart. Brazier.
A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U-I!
B, C, D, F, G, L, M, N, P, R, S, T, V, W, X, Z.
From sage to stooge, from stage to surge.
It's not
That
way.
It's
over.
Here.
It's not that way! It's over here! It's not that way! It's over here! It's not that way! It's over here!
It's 9 o'clock. We've drunk the soup and eaten the fish and chips. And the English salad. The children have drunk English water. We've eaten well this evening. That's because we live in the suburbs of London and because our name is Nick. Potatoes are very good fried, in fact. Salad oil was not rancid. But the oil from the grocer at the corner is better quality than the oil from the grocer across the street. It's even better than the oil from the grocer at the bottom of the street. However, I prefer not to tell them their oil is bad.